Yeah, Sarah coming.
Since it's 9 this morning. That was Jamaica.
Lovely. We had a great time. We had a great time.
Good.
It was a wedding,
Right.
so the destination where we stayed and everything was already arranged and there was parties to it. But it's the first time we've ever gone on a all-inclusive package. You've been one of those before? Okay, so everything. I'm wondering where Carol Toilet is. Good news. Good news. That's all. That's coming on. That's
3 minutes.
It's this yours.
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I read it.
What's that? Tree. Not really about the tree, it's more about the nuisance.
Okay, well, same, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, we're on the same page.
Somebody heard from Sarah. I don't know. Call that. Call Sarah Hines.
I don't care.
Calling Sarah Hines.
You did take contact?
Yeah.
Okay. Gibson says he talked to her and she's coming.
Yeah.
I just see him.
When we can expect her. Hey, Sarah, how are you? No, you're good. How far out are you? Oh, good. We'll see it. We'll probably get started and just do minutes and things like that. We'll all talk, we'll talk slowly. Okay, all right. Drive carefully. We'll see you in a few minutes. Thanks. Bye. Sarah's on her way. She told me to speak slowly. Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'll call to order the June 20, 2023 City Council regular meeting for the City of Prospect. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of City Council meetings. There are 3 sets of minutes to consider, and they are the minutes of the May 8, 2023 special meeting, the minutes of the May 15, 2023 regular meeting, and the minutes of the June 12, 2023 special meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as distributed?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Yes.
So the motion's made by Councilman Evans, seconded by Councilman Gibson. Are there any additions, corrections, or discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is comments from citizens. Nobody signed up? Okay. Then we'll move forward with the mayor's report. So I've got several fun things to talk about. First, on Tuesday, June 13th, we cut the ribbon for Charlotte's Playground, the new playground next to City Hall in Little Hunting Creek Park. Approximately 50 of us gathered at the playground, including Chief Sherrard, thank you for being there, Assistant Chief Tony Denham, Council members David Holmes, Don Gibson, John Evans. In addition to John Evans, another former mayor was present. Todd Eberly was present. Linda Wardell was present. I think Sally was there also, and Carolyn and other members of the Parks Committee. So we appreciate everybody being there. The guest of honor was former Councilwoman Sarah Odell. She now lives in Germany, but she was home and we scheduled this to fit her schedule. She cut the ribbon. She eloquently discussed the community building opportunity that the playground and the pavilion present. And I think we've already seen a number of events that have borne out that hope. So John Evans made excellent remarks and acknowledged Sarah's contribution. I think John and I are in agreement that the playground and the pavilion would not be in existence were it not for Sarah's drive and determination and her efforts. So it was wonderful that she could be here with us. We appreciate the opportunity to visit with her. On Sunday, June 18th, which was this Father's Day, the Oldham at Little Hunting Creek Park in the pavilion, the Oldham County Community Band performed. About 60 people attended that event. It was a wonderful, wonderful day. It showed that the band did not need amplification, but anybody who's trying to speak clearly does. So I think we're going to get a portable speaker that we'll be able to use for events. That's something we could have used when we had the police recognition appreciation day and some other events that we've held along the way. Another event took place on Saturday, June 17th, this past Saturday. That was a Flag Day observance in Cali Park. It was an excellent program sponsored by the Sons of the American Revolution and the Daughters of the American Revolution. They had flags present. They gave excellent presentations and explanations about our flags and the history of our flags. Both the DAR and the SAR will be present on the 4th of July, and we'll have tables and/or tents in Cali Park to distribute materials and visit with people who show up for the evening. The Sons of the American Revolution will have an honor guard that will carry the flag at the front of the parade. So I think that'll be a real nice addition for the 4th of July parade. Next item I want to discuss briefly is the Investments Committee. It held its first meeting today. The members present were Susan Nicholson, Bill Brab, Don Gibson, Dennis Riggs, John Clark, Chris Gorman as counsel, and I was present. Susan Nicholson has agreed to chair the meeting on a going forward basis, chair the committee rather on a going forward basis. We had a good first meeting, first discussion, and it was I think the watchword of the meeting was whatever we do, we're going to move cautiously and carefully and look for safety in any investments we may make. Any recommendations from the committee will come before the council for its consideration and approval. One of the items on the agenda this evening is the Gustavo's building permit. So I want to welcome Gustavo Reyes, who's here this evening, and his wife, Karina, is present. So thank you both for being here. We're very appreciative to you as a great corporate citizen, but a great friend of the community. So thanks for being here. And I know it's been a tough deal to go through some of the bureaucracy, but we appreciate your patience and your participation here this evening. Wes Johnson is also present. Wes, we appreciate you being here again, and some other friends are here as well. We'll be addressing the budget this evening and appreciate everyone's work and efforts on that to this point. I won't talk further about that, but when we get to that point on the agenda, we'll have further discussion on how we move forward on that. So with that said, I'll move to the financial reports.
The financial information I'm presenting tonight is effective through May 31st, 2023. The cash we had on hand last month, at the end of the month, was 3,450,000 roughly. And then in addition to that, we did have restricted road funds to the tune of another 258,000. So our grand total of cash on hand is 3.6 million roughly. We've earned a little over 100,000 more income than we had originally budgeted. And as far as budget items to watch, we continue to watch the LDG litigation expense. Other than that, everything is in line. We are within budget. And also want to point out, we're almost at $40,000 of interest off our CDs. And with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Any questions for John? Okay, thanks, John. Appreciate your report. Commission and board reports, the Forestation Board. Linda, you'll be making that report. Thank you for being here.
You should have gotten a report in your packets that talked about our June plans, and the meeting was actually scheduled for today. And we got together and unexpectedly did not have a quorum. So we were not able to take action on any of the projects that were outlined in that report. We're looking to see when people can be available to get together, because there are some trees that we're continuing to observe. There's some trees that definitely need to be submitted for mediation. We're looking to do some information on hazardous trees to help the community in our newsletter. And if there's any questions, then hopefully we can get with the council and have some further discussion about the ordinance that we've all been working on, trying to update it and add elements, take out elements, so it's more functional going forward. So if you've got any questions on particular projects we've been working on, now's the time.
Thank you, Linda. Any questions for Linda? Very good. Thanks so much. Next item on the agenda is the Parks Advisory Committee report. Sally, are you going to give that report?
Some of the items were mentioned earlier by the mayor, as far as the dedication that we had with Sarah, and that we had the program at the John Evans Pavilion on Sunday. But we also had our craft program, our Art for All, on Saturday, June 17th. Example of the tie-dye that I made. I thought it was our best attended program that we've had to date. We had about 16 kids that showed up and probably equally as many adults. And everyone had a great time. So I'd like to give a special thank you to my cousin Lauren Becker and to my friend Beth Watkins, who both are art teachers who were there to help out that day. We have several programs that are coming up at the John Evans Pavilion, and the next one is on Sunday, July 16th. On the Harrods Creek Bridge project, the low bid received for this project was just under $170K, and we're hopeful that funds will be available to complete this project. Linda had given me the tree sculpture has been delayed, but scheduled because of rain, and he hopes to start on the project Thursday or Friday of this week. The Putney Ponds and Woodlands annual report to the Kentucky Heritage Land Conservation Fund will be submitted by the end of June. And members of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee will be present at the 4th of July celebration, and we encourage community members to sign up to be parks volunteers at that event. Anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Linda is available on WebEx if anybody has any questions for either Linda or Sally. If not, I'll supplement my earlier remarks and your report. It's in the written report that you've submitted, but I did not mention the Ron Jones Quartet event on May 21st, which I think it's been since our last meeting.
But there were about 60 and-
No, this says more than 100 people, and it was a lovely afternoon and evening. The music was, I'm not, have to confess to not being a great jazz fan, but it was wonderful. The music was terrific. It was very accessible to a non-jazz person, so it was just a great evening. So thanks for all your efforts, and John, for your subcommittee's work and arranging those events. They've been a great success. All right, Jeff Sherrard.
Okay, as you all know that our administrative assistant has still been out from her car accident, over a month ago. So we don't have the numbers that we normally do for the statistics for the month. So I just compiled a few things just quickly because I've been tied up on some other things. But so I don't have a total for the house watches. That's a really time-consuming effort to get those, so I don't have those numbers for the month. We did have about 20 citations and warnings written for the month, which is about double what it used to be. So they continue to be up. That effort has been increased. And that was for a month where we actually had less personnel due to a couple of vacations and a couple of schools. So we were without people for at least 4 different people for the month. So that was a pretty decent effort. The significant reports that we had, the one that drew some media attention was the home invasion / robbery that occurred on May 17th. That's where a vehicle was stolen. Basically, the offenders came in dressed in all black, mask, and were armed with guns. And they stole the homeowner's vehicle. In the process, a dog was encountered, a very large dog. The dog became aggressive and a shot was fired and it struck the dog. The dog is perfectly fine. It was okay. The following morning, they took it to a animal hospital. Unfortunately, it has a full recovery. When they left, they did take the car. The vehicle has since been recovered. Officer McKeon is our lead investigator on that. He does a good job. He's already executed a number of search warrants related to different things that you can do with technology. The technology within the car, the technology of phones, with video that's available. He's done a really good job. He's worked with Louisville Metro. He's worked with the crime scene people. And also there's a federal agency that's involved that's helped with some of the technology on the vehicle. I won't go into any more specifics of that. We have not identified any specific suspects at this time, however, but they still continue to work on that case. Separate case, we had another stolen vehicle that was taken from the horse farm. And that was a vehicle that's sort of commonly used among a number of people, and the keys are kind of commonly available, and somebody just took off with the car. It's an older vehicle that's used in and around the farm to haul trailers and stuff. Well, somebody took it and has not brought it back. I had 2 thefts of at the liquor store. They're regular shoplifters. They hit elsewhere as well. But in those 2 thefts, they took $2,500 worth of liquor. That's a lot of liquor. Well, that's got to be the high end stuff there, right? I mean, I don't buy much liquor, but I'm thinking that's got to be a lot. That's a barrel. Yeah. Let's see, we also had a theft from a vehicle in the Sutherland where a window was actually broken out, which is pretty rare for us. Normally we don't get some where they actually forced entry. And there was a significant value of personal effects that were taken from that vehicle. And then there was a theft at the country club that was in employees' personal property that was taken inside an office area there. So obviously that has to be somebody with access. Now, Currently, we are undergoing an audit upstairs from KSP, the computer section. This is all related to the computer situation that we have. In all of our police cars, we have the MDTs, which are in-car computers. Most police departments have them. But all the connectivity and everything like that, all of that is monitored through the Kentucky State Police because it's all interconnected. And then even the FBI oversees Kentucky State Police. But we basically answer to them all their rules, regulations, the FBI rules, regulations. And so everything is very specific. And then they want to come in and make sure that you're doing everything you need to do, that you follow all the rules and regulations that they have. This audit has been probably the most frustrating thing I've ever had to deal with in my 40 years of being a policeman. I don't have any hair at all, and I pulled the rest of it out. And I finally hit send today. And I've been dealing with this for over 2.5 weeks. So, and then the auditor comes in next week to be here in person. So I hope she's nice because I may not be, because it is frustrating. But they keep changing the rules as you go along, and they keep adding more and more and more and more. It's because people screw up along the way, so they have to keep adding more and more rules. You know, because some policeman somewhere, 3 states away sent something on a computer they shouldn't have. Everybody else in the United States has to add 10 more pages to their rule books to cover that scenario. And it's just gotten crazy. I mean, she says, oh, it's not that bad. It was 96 pages, 96 pages. If you've ever seen any police rule books, you're lucky to get somebody to comprehend 6. And you're sending out 96, and that's just one of them. Another one's 16, another one's this. There's like 4 different ones, and it's crazy. And I hate to be on the soapbox, but when you go through the class to begin with, when you go through the NCIC class, you sit there and they give you all the rules that you go through. And at the very beginning, you say, I will abide by all these rules. I know I can't do this. I know I can't do this. This is the right. And you sign off when you go through. You have to be really stupid to know that when you deviate from that, you've done something wrong. But now they want to just keep writing it down over and over and over and over and just like cram it down your throat. It's frustrating. I would never guessed. And then lastly, we're in the process of hiring a new full-time officer to replace one of our full-time officers, Tony Leitch, who's basically scaling back to just a part-time position. And she may just do that temporarily because she may decide to just retire altogether. But anyway, we're replacing the full-time status with a part-time status for the time being. So that's all I have. So does anybody else have anything? You got anything on an audit? Surely you gotta know, but.
Jeff,
You have anything?
the home invasion, I just want to mention you issued a very helpful public statement at the time, released it to the media, and we shared it with people in Prospect.
Right.
And one of the points that you made in that I want to use the correct words, but I think the conclusion of law enforcement was that this was not a random event,
Correct.
but that it was targeted.
Yeah, we believe he was specifically targeted.
Yeah. So it's a troubling incident all the way around, but perhaps that reduces some of the apprehension that we've all got about the
Correct. For the
situation.
people that surrounded him, yeah, it should allay some of their fears.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
About a week ago, maybe a little less, there was apparently a bomb scare down at Kroger.
Yes, sir.
What was that about?
Actually, it's the same group, and they've sent them all around the region the same day that we got the one at Kroger's. Essentially, Kroger gets a call. Guy calls in. It was around 1 o'clock. I think it was 12:58 that it came in. Wants to talk to the manager. Manager gets on and says that I've placed a bomb on a shelf. And if you don't give me X amount of dollars, I'm going to detonate the bomb. And then proceeds to tell the manager what to do in terms of how to get paid or whatever. And then, of course, the wheels are in motion. Our officers go over there. They begin to look through the store because they were told on the shelves. They go through with some of the store personnel. They go through themselves. We had two people working. They go through, they're able to get through the shelves pretty quickly. They don't see anything, but they do find a backpack that's off to the side. And at that time, nobody knows who the backpack belonged to. So we had already been in touch with Metro Police and the bomb squad. And of course, they've got a task force for that. And so they came out and actually they beat me out here. I was out cutting my grass when the call came in. So I came straight out and Metro Police, and there was an FBI agent that was here. He's a part of the task force. They were going to go in, and they subsequently did. They x-rayed the backpack and rendered it safe. And as it turned out, it was an employee's, a young lady that worked there, and it was just there from earlier in the day, and she forgot it. And we knew that right when they were in there checking it, but they just wanted to make sure that nobody put anything in it. So then basically the store was closed for about 2 hours and 20 minutes. So that's relatively quick for one of those.
Yeah.
But the same guy that called had called a whole number of other stores in and around Northern Kentucky, around Newport. And then actually there was a couple of other type stores. They weren't all Kroger's, but there were some other retail type stores. There was a whole series of them that have occurred in that week surrounding that period. Just a whole bunch of it. And it was the same exact scenario.
I think it was a Saturday, Jeff. Was it?
Yes, it was a Saturday afternoon.
So, hey, any other questions for Jeff? Thanks, Chief.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. All right. We'll move on the agenda. Any unfinished business? All of any unfinished business? Under new business, the first item of business is the application for a preliminary certificate of conformance of building plans and exterior materials proposed for the construction of Gustavo's Mexican Grill Restaurant to be located at 8909 US Highway 42. Is there a motion to approve that preliminary certificate?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion?
What about the flame? We've had some discussions about the flame on top. Is that part of the permit request?
It is not, but it doesn't need to be. The ordinance sets out the standards.
Okay.
There are 13 standards,
Right, okay.
and that's not one of the items. It could be a possible point of discussion on a going forward basis. Maybe amend the sign ordinance or something, but no. Okay, any other discussion or questions? If not, we're ready to vote. We'll do a roll call. Sarah? How do you vote? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes?
Definitely. Yes.
John?
Yes.
Okay. John?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Frank? Okay, it's adopted unanimously. So congratulations. We appreciate your patience, appreciate you all being here today. And you're welcome to stay. We're not trying to throw you out.
Appreciate y'all. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Looking forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gustavo. Appreciate you being here.
So much. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, good luck.
Sally, did I hear you say adios? Okay, well, that's good development. The next item under new business is a second reading of the ordinance 624, Series 20. Did I skip one?
Yeah, resolution.
Am I looking at it all?
I think you're looking at all of them.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was looking at an old agenda. Resolution 6, Series 2023, a resolution of the City of Prospect regarding the enforcement of City Code of Ordinances, Section 920.03, Subpart 1. Is there a motion to adopt that resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
I introduced this motion specifically to have a discussion on some of the activities that people have presented to me. And when there have been several been cited for bushes and trees that have been overhanging the streets that are impairing traffic movement. And I just want to bring awareness that there are quite a few city trees that fit that category. And so I think that city has an obligation to meet its own rules. And that's the thrust of this resolution. It's non-binding, I realize, but it's an awareness that I think we need to be cognizant of.
And I think it calls for non-enforcement of the city's code until the city complies with it. Is that?
Yes. Yeah.
And I'll mention that Public Works Department has done, before this resolution was put forward, had done significant work in Innisbrook and in the landings, just in the last few weeks. If there are any other areas that need attention, I would appreciate a call, or Ron would appreciate a call. We can get that taken care of. So there's no effort to ignore the city's responsibilities in that regard.
Okay. All you have to do is look at that big pine tree as you leave Hunting Creek.
Okay. Okay, just give me a call next time. We can take care of it quicker if we know about it. All right, so there's a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution approved. All right, the next item is the second reading of ordinance 624, series 2023, an ordinance establishing an ad valorem tax rate for the city of Prospect for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023 and ending June 30, 2024. So is there a motion for that, the second reading and for the approval of that ordinance?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion? If not, are we ready to vote? Frank?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Okay, the motion is approved, 5-0. The ordinance is adopted. The next item on the agenda is the second reading of ordinance. Oh, wait a minute. This is the municipal
Budget.
the budget, or is that there's a municipal road aid fund?
Road aid.
The next in order on this agenda is the
The budget. Okay. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so we go to the budget. So I've got some preliminary remarks to bring people up to speed. So the budget is up for second reading and amendment, discussion, and possible adoption. The major item for discussion will likely be line 7611, which is the solid waste allocation, the Rumpke contract. The amount in the budget that's presented is adequate to pay for one trash pickup per week and at the back door, and every 2 weeks pickup of recycling at the curbside and yard waste on a weekly basis. The question for our residents and for us is whether we want to continue twice weekly trash pickup and weekly recycling, both at the back door. Rumpke has offered to allow us 2 months to figure out what we want to do. And I propose that we consider surveying our residents, send information to our residents about their options and about the cost differential, which is significant, and the opportunity for public meeting. Representatives of Rumpke would be present. Rumpke has offered this 2-month interim arrangement to allow us to figure this out. During that 2 months, they would continue twice weekly trash pickup at the back door at the new rate that they proposed. They would continue picking up recycling on a weekly basis at the back door at the new rate they have proposed. They would continue to pick up yard waste at the curb at the existing rate. At the new rate, the difference in cost per month for that level of service, the level of service we currently have is $40,000. So if we take 2 months to figure this out, it would be $80,000. But Rumpke has offered to continue the pickup of yard waste at the old rate, which means that it would be $33,000 per month that we would need to pay them above what we currently, or what's in the budget that's presented for everyone's consideration. So if we get a motion in a second, we would consider amending the budget to add an amount to fund those 2 months. Once we've reached a decision on how we're going to proceed, if we decide to proceed with once a week trash pickup and every other week recycling pickup at the curb and the trash pickup at the back door, I don't believe there'd be any need to amend the budget. If we decide to stay with the current level of service, we're going to have a $485,000 hole we need to take care of. So this is an interim step, but in order to have the discussion, to make whatever amendments we want to consider and perhaps approve, we'll need a motion to approve the budget, and we'll need a second. Is there a motion to approve the budget?
Yeah, I'm aware that members of the council, different ones have different issues with the proposed budget as presented by the mayor. I have a couple myself, but in order to get it on the floor for discussion, I move its adoption.
Thank you, John. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. So the budget is on the floor for discussion and for amendments. Are there any motions?
I move to amend. Very, very briefly, it would be, I think that we should go with with both the solid waste pickup and the recycle pickup and move to once a week, which there's a savings there from what was proposed. To help fund that, we do have a surplus, but at the same time, as part of this amendment, I would like to remove the $55,000 that we have in here for capital for a police car to a new category of capital budgeting to be separated from our operating budget. The rationale for that is that, in my experience, operating budgets and capital budgets are two distinct items, and they stand on their own. The other part of it would be the removal of the $32,000 or $36,000 in revenue and the corresponding number in expense for the bridge loan. The bridge project being moved again to a capital project budget.
Okay, so let's parse this out and get the items on the floor for discussion. So the first motion was to amend the solid waste line, which is 7611, I believe.
Right.
And what's the specific dollar amount that you're proposing?
I don't have that. I got the calculation here. It would be.
But you're proposing to increase it, sounds like.
Yes, by $212,000.
Okay.
Based on your number.
Okay. So the motion is to increase, is it 7611? Did I have that correct?
It's
Yeah, 7,611 to, it would be increased by two, what was the number again, Frank?
212,
$212,000.
right?
Okay. Can we deal with these one at a time? Is that okay if we, you've got three different items. We've got
Well,
the police car, you got the bridge project and the Rumpke.
well, I think the police car and the bridge project, moving to a capital budget is one
Right.
specific.
That's fine. I'm just saying, could we first address the Rumpke piece of this and then following a decision on that?
So,
I-
so can we get an understanding of, as I understand, um, the the surplus that we're having? This document shows $105,554, but then I heard we were getting an additional revenue of $16,000 from workers' compensation
Or savings and expense.
or a savings
Yeah.
of that. So that's not revenue, well, that, and so what is our projected surplus at this stage of the game before Frank makes his suggestion? Because he's talking about 212,000, then we've got to make up the difference. We got to walk out of here tonight balanced.
Right.
There's no question about it.
Right now, as it sits,
Can you speak up?
right now, as it sits, we have the surplus in the worksheet of 105 and then the other 16, so it's about 120,000.
So 121 I got.
Yeah.
Um,
So I think what, if I understand Frank correctly, he wants to take the 50, because there's 55,000 and 37,000 for capital projects in this current budget. He wants to take that out of the operating budget and put in and set up a capital account.
that still doesn't balance the budget. If we've got, if we are looking to spend an additional $212,000 on changing Rumpke, because this proposal has recycling every other week. And he's saying do it weekly. And it's gonna cost $212,000 more. And we're saying before that happens, we have a surplus of 121,000. So there's gonna be a deficit of
David?
$90,000.
When you
He's
take,
also proposing taking $55,000 out for the new police car and putting it into the surplus, and 37,000 out of the bridge project, putting it into the surplus. I haven't added all that up, but that would be close to covering what he's talking about. He's also talking, he's not taking those and saying we're not gonna do them. He says, let's set up a capital account. And we could set up a capital account with some surplus from the cash we have in surplus. How much we need to get together and talk about as a council. And then review those two projects and for funding.
So can we set aside the capital account thing, which I'm in favor of doing, but I don't want it to get into the discussion of, are we balancing the budget? Because it doesn't look like necessarily to me
Well,
that that's the
Right.
case.
so here's where
You haven't added that up.
Here's where you balance the budget.
Hold on. So we've got a motion to remove $55,000 from the budget for a police car. We've got a motion to remove $37,100, I think it is,
Right.
for the stream crossing bridge. And we've got a motion to amend the Rumpke contract, increasing what's in this proposed budget by $212,000. Let me offer a suggestion for your consideration and for the council's consideration. We've got an opportunity to take 2 months to figure this out, to continue the exact same level of service we have right now. And we can consult with our constituents, we can survey our constituents, find out what people want and see what we want. And we can use that 2 months to do that. We can try to read everybody's minds and take action this evening, but I'm questioning whether that's the way we really want to go forward.
Well, I'm 100% with you in polling the residents. I think that's a great idea, but I think that you know, we're talking about $30,000, $40,000 here. We're gonna spend that much money, as you stated, doing that. If we go to,
66,000.
$33,000 per month.
66.
okay,
If we do it in a month,
okay,
it's 33.
66,000. So it's not free, but what I'm suggesting is, I think, that going from what we have now to bi-weekly at the curve, I think it's just way too drastic a move right now. I think we should go to baby steps first, whole, and then cut a deal with Rumpke and say, this is what we're gonna do. We want to do this, but we reserve the right to some point, if the residents say, oh yeah, it's a great idea, we can save so much. Then I'm all for that, but right now, I think it's too extreme to go to the,
So Doug, I'm sorry, I might have just something.
Yeah.
So for 2 months, you're saying hold firm on what we're doing, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Continue the same level of service.
exactly, and then pull the opinions from,
Talk to our neighbors.
correct, and understand
Have a
really what
meeting.
they're, you know, what they'd like to see.
Correct.
So I think that, you know, Frank, I think what he's saying is for at least 2 months, hold firm exactly where we are, so there be no modifications, which
I
means,
understand.
so,
So with what Sarah says, is if I understand the math right on that, it's going to cost us $66,000 more than what we had budgeted.
That's
We have a-
correct.
But we have $121,000 surplus right now from the budget as it stands. So we'll have 55,000 plus surplus if we go the 66,000 for the 2 months, and then we can figure out.
Yeah, I think you know, not to prejudge everything, but I think it's pretty clear we're not going to fund $37,000 for the stream crossing bridge. I don't think that's going to happen. I may be mistaken, but I don't think that's going to occur.
At this
Yeah.
budget session.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
Downstream.
that's what I mean. Downstream, no pun intended. But the police car, so I'm not quite sure how we're dealing with the police car. We're taking the money out of the budget. How do the police pay for the car? They don't. We wait till we get that sorted out.
Well, we create a capital budget independent of the operating.
Create a capital budget and it would be funded from the capital budget.
Okay.
When,
So we're,
As soon as we can put that together.
so we would have at least a minimum $55,000 surplus to fund the capital account. We could
We can also look.
we could say tonight, in adopting the budget along the lines of what you're suggesting there, that the surplus be put into a capital account going forward.
so,
Doesn't change the dollars and cents
Right.
out of this. You've still got a balanced budget. And I don't think it would require a second reading because it doesn't change the
No.
dollar amount.
so Doug I'm assuming that the budget as it sits includes the 55,000 for the police car,
That's
right?
correct.
So Frank, if I'm understanding you, what you're saying correctly, so I'm going to just recap this really quickly, just to make sure I'm on point. So with the proposal on the table is to continue the service from Rumpke exactly as it stands for 2 months at $33,000 a month, which is $66,000 total. At a surplus of 121, which is presently where we sit, sans the 66,000, we're going to have about 55,000-ish left over in surplus, right?
Right.
What you're proposing, Frank, is to take $55,000, which happens to be oddly the same amount as surplus, but it's the 55,000 for the police vehicle is already accounted for in the budget, right? So it's not, that's here. So you're saying take the 55,000 and the 37 in the event that that's also accounted for in the budget, correct? And just move those two into its own little capital account, right? So once again, just moving the money, still leaving us with the $55,000 surplus, correct?
Well, I don't know where the
I don't
numbers
know.
are going to shake out.
Well,
What-
okay,
what-
but let's just even forget the bridge. because the bridge is in the budget, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so because the bridge is in the project, it's in the budget, you're just saying, can we move the police car and the bridge into its own CapEx?
Yeah.
bucket, right?
Along with the service, the surplus that you described.
Okay, so we have 55 surplus, 55 for the police vehicle, and 37 for the proposed bridge.
All going into.
All going
All
into its
going
own
into the capital
CapEx.
So is a vehicle a capital item?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So what that does is it allows us to have the surplus in 55,
Yeah.
the police vehicle for 55, and the 37 over in a CapEx budget.
So
And over here, we still have a $66,000 surplus to be utilized for Rumpke, 2 months worth of service while we figure out what really the city wants pertaining to the Rumpke services. So,
Does another thing, it sets up this capital account so that forever now, we can separate this budget, this thing here, this worksheet, we can separate between expenses required that you need and the chief needs to run the city from the capital. And that we can review all capital projects, and we could do that for the budget. We could review capital projects and approve them.
Well, and if you look at line 6611 through 6615, which is where the police vehicle appears, it's headed capital outlay. So this budget used this already as a capital expenditure. So I'm not sure what we gain by moving it and deferring.
We take it, we separate capital projects from recurring operating
Yeah,
expenses.
I don't have any problem with that. It's an interesting proposal. I think it's unfortunate we didn't get information about this before it came up this evening, but be that as it may, that's the motion that's on the floor. So the motion is to remove from the budget $55,000 for the police car, transfer that to a new capital budget, to change the Rumpke number, adding $212,000. That's what, okay. And then to remove the bridge project.
It's also,
And your motion is for all three of those things, not to vote on them one at a time.
yes.
And that's seconded. Is there discussion?
Yeah, I got one more item in here that I think we should be looking at, and it's line 7516, which is sidewalk repair. And the number in this budget is $100,000 for the coming year. And it seems to me that's a bit high. And I think we should lower it to some lower number. $100,000 of sidewalk repair in the second year is a lot more than I think we need to do.
Okay. Would this be capital expenditure? Would this be?
No, that's an expense.
Could be.
And
But
and
that,
it's also
Yeah.
funded in this budget, it's funded road aid.
yeah, the road aid, which is,
So
Complicated.
it doesn't
Okay.
happen in the general.
All right, so,
We're lucky.
so is your motion, John, to amend the amendment that Frank's proposed?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the motion we'll consider first. Is there a second to John's motion?
Because everybody wants to spend $100,000.
Yeah, now John's motion is to reduce the sidewalk expenditures from 100,000 to 36,000. That we understand that's what the bids have left. That's what it takes to complete the sidewalk repair.
Oh, no, it's a lot more than that.
well,
Over a period
that's
of-
what,
Over a
that's,
period of years.
yeah, over a period of years, but that Ron says, somewhere around 26 or 36, whatever that number is
For
what
this
you
year.
got bids for now. And that the, Bridge Point
So
and
the,
Brook, and
so the motion is to reduce this from 100,000 to 36,000. And presumably there's documentation. Is that available for us to review?
I got the information from Ron, so I assume so.
Well,
Well, did he give you specific numbers?
Yes, yeah. He
So
said-
there's
and what-
documentation.
He told me what He told me what has been done thus far
right,
and what he had.
which is most of Honey Creek.
Oh, it's 23, that's
That
correct.
was over 40,000 for that. I'm
Okay,
surprised that
that's
there's
in-
any neighborhood that's less than 40 is what I'm questioning.
But as Don pointed out, I don't think that's really relevant to my amendment because it's a road aid fund issue.
Well, it can be, that's true.
Well,
So the motion is, the motion to
Frank,
amend,
it's right here in the budget that we've been presented with,
Yeah, that's true,
in the
but
general budget.
that's one of the,
so the motion is to reduce that figure from 100 to 36,000.
Correct.
And was there a second to that motion? Okay, that motion fails for the lack of a second. We're back to Frank's motion to amend. And that is the three items: removing $55,000 for a police car, adding $212,000 to the Rumpke
Yes.
line,
yes,
and removing the bridge project.
right.
And that's been seconded. Is there discussion?
I want to point out to David that if we have these $120,000 surplus shown right now,
121,
whatever, okay, whatever.
750.
But then with 55 and that gets us 200,000.
That would get us to 2012.
Well,
We gotta have 2012.
but,
To balance the budget.
you could take whatever the $10,000 shortfall, or whatever it is from unallocated reserves or surplus from this current year. So it would be a balanced budget.
So
We don't know whether we've got a surplus this year or
I
not.
know, well, I know there's a,
I don't know if that'll pass muster. This budget goes to Frank for review. You really gotta show it on dollars and cents. So you're suggesting that whatever the downfall is, shortfall is, that it comes out of surplus.
or unallocated.
Well, we initially, we had $22,000 coming out of surplus. Yeah, on the first page.
Yeah, when we started this a month ago.
No, so it is.
That 22,000 never evaporated.
It is a balance, and
But you had to say,
it is a balanced budget, and also, I think that Doug, what you suggested with getting public input into this thing is a great idea, but not, once you start something like that, you can't take it back. I mean, if we could move into it.
What's been offered by Rumpke, what we proposed is that we take 2 months, we continue at the exact same service level we have at present.
I understand.
So what you're saying is shortcut that thing, put the recycling back in and make that decision tonight, not consider it over the next 2 months.
I'm saying that, yes, basically, I'm saying that if we went to once a week solid waste and once a week recycle at back door, that's the number that my amendment is dealing with.
So you believe that this motion will allow for 1 time a week trash pickup at the back door and 1 time per week recycling at the back door?
Yes.
Okay. So
and yard weight.
yard waste continuing.
The yard waste, whatever.
Yeah, as it is.
And that gels with the numbers you gave us. As we look through the thing, what it costs the existing and what the new budget is.
Okay. All right, so that's moved and seconded. It removes $55,000 for the police car and puts it into a new budget, puts that request into a new budget. It removes the bridge project and it changes the Rumpke contract, changes the line by adding $212,000 to that line.
Yes.
So is there further discussion?
Just one other thing, if we ask for input, we have to remember what our parameters are, and correct me if I'm wrong. But if we want to stay the same, it's going to cost us $448,000 a year, something like that. And we can't afford that.
448,000 more.
I don't know how we can afford that.
Yeah.
If we stay the same with the twice weekly pickup, that's going to cost $225,000 more a year. I don't know how we can afford that. We have a shot at affording, and John made a suggestion earlier, instead of weekly recyclables at the back door, maybe bi-weekly recyclables at the back door could get that $200,000 cost down. So we go out and ask the citizens what they want, what is it, what's their inputs? There's two things that they may want, but we can't afford.
Right. Yeah, that's why I'm concerned about taking this step, but it's fine. I mean, we'll do whatever this is the council's budget to vote on and to allocate funds. What you're doing is allocating funds, and then we'll move forward with Rumpke and talking with our citizens, seeing what our citizens want, and reach a decision about what we're going to do going forward. So what we're doing tonight, putting numbers in line items.
Right.
We're not entering into contracts. We're not determining levels of service. We're putting dollars into a line item. So that's clear. So that's fine. We're adding those funds. So is there further discussion?
So just for informational purpose, I contacted my friends who are in charge of public services in Lexington to find out what Lexington is doing in terms of solid waste things. And they're doing exactly what Frank is suggesting. Garbage once, recycling once, garbage once a week.
All three at once a week. And that's what the proposal is.
And that's
That we
what
got here.
that's what his proposal.
Okay. Okay. Is there further discussion? Yes, Jeff? Yeah.
In regards to the car, and when we go to purchase the car, is it any different now that it's in this other budget?
It's going to require this council to create a budget that doesn't exist yet. And then it's going to require the council to allocate funds from that. It'll require first and second reading. And we can do, we can call special meetings and do that, but we've got work to do between here and there. It seems very cumbersome to me too, Chief, but
You said you've already done the state contract, it's a sole source bidder for all the equipment and stuff. I mean, sometimes it's not easy to get any of this stuff done now due to COVID and shipping and things like that. Sometimes you'll get a call from the dealer saying, we have one in that's available. If you don't take it in, you may not see another one for 6 months. We ran into that with the one that we attempted to order one back. It is not easy. We do not have the flexibility in ordering cars like we did years ago. We had multiple different types of vehicles you could get, whether it be Ford, Chevy, Dodge. Now, essentially, it's just kind of like a Dodge.
Yeah, let me just state, I am very opposed to taking the $55,000 out of this budget. I think our police deserve our support. I think this is a question of we've had this proposal made. There's been a question about whether a car is needed. The chief has answered that question. The question is before you this evening on the motion that's been made. Now there's an amendment to take the police car out. My son ordered a car. It took 1 year for that car to arrive. 1 year. So I'm not inclined to tie the hands of our police in getting the equipment that they need to protect us.
Amen.
They are our number, to me, they are our number one priority. And so I want it to be clear that I oppose taking the money out of the budget, delaying the allocation of funds, tying the chief's hands, and trying to take the steps that he needs to take to protect the city.
Just wanted to add something further. Believe that I'm in my 12th year now. Believe that I've shown how fiscally responsible I've been from day one with the city's money. Back in 2015, that's just one of the rare steps that other departments hadn't done that. And Tony can tell you here where we went to a contract system here, where we had 5 people that we put on contract as opposed to the standard things that other departments did, where they were paying in to the retirement system and also where they were paying into the insurance. So if you hired a retired policeman, then not only did you have to pay into the retirement system on their behalf, even though they couldn't collect it, you also had to pay their insurance. And believe me, it was over $30,000, maybe up to, in some cases, $40,000 per person per year. By me going to that city where we got 5 of them as soon as we could get them, it saves the city at a minimum of about $120,000 per year. And I've done that since 2015 or 2016. I have to go up and look. But every year we've saved them tons of money. And Mayor Evans can tell you, every year, I've always turned back the money that I didn't use. So I believe that I've earned a little bit of equity and a little bit of trust when it comes, if I've asked for a piece of equipment, it's my belief that we truly need. And I'll leave it.
Chief, we're not taking it now. Would that,
Well, you don't have to
The
take,
fact of having to jump through hoops and everything at a time that, and it's not so much that, it's just that it makes it an untenable situation at times to have to do all and deal with the dealership and then the timing of being able to get a car equipped. And then because the equipment part of it, the car itself doesn't cost $55,000. And then you get into the equipment part of it, and then we have to get approval for that additional monies to take it up to L&W in Lawrenceburg to get a new computer put in it along with the lights and the stickers and stuff on the side. And I'm telling you, it's gonna make my job more difficult. And then after the last 2 weeks, I couldn't get it.
well, I'll take that as a statement from the chief that he strongly opposes taking the $55,000 out of the budget.
I couldn't state that anymore.
I
it's
joined-
not being taken out, it's being moved, not being taken out. It's
We don't
being-
have a capital budget.
Well,
We do not have a
Create
capital
one,
budget.
Doug.
Well, you'll need, if you're going to create a separate budget, you're going to need to make a motion. You're gonna
We
need-
can do that. We
we
can
can.
set up a special meeting in January and we can do, the council can do that.
We can do that. And when would we do that?
And it's,
Well,
January, June.
Okay, so the chief stated his position. I've stated and will restate my position. I strongly oppose removing these funds from this budget. And any moving the decks on the ship of the Titanic that you want to do is fine. I don't
think it's
oppose.
time to vote on.
Yeah.
I agree. No, I agree. Okay, so does everyone understand what the motion is?
No, I'd like to hear the motion best.
The motion is to remove $55,000 from this budget for the police vehicle. The motion is to change the Rumpke contract, or not to change the Rumpke contract. The motion is to increase the line item by $212,000 for the solid waste. That's line item 7611. And the motion was to remove the bridge project. All three are part of the motion. The second, that's what we're
And
voting.
put it, and put it into a capital
Into his,
account.
It's in a capital account.
No, it's not, it's in the operating. budget.
We don't have a capital budget.
Well, I understand that. That's why I'm opposed to the
And we're
motion.
saying- I hear what you're saying, but you're not accurately reflecting what the motion is.
Okay, the motion is to remove $55,000 from that line in the budget under capital outlay and to create, to move it into a yet to be created budget.
You can create,
capital account.
it doesn't take you anything to create another line.
I-
You've been creating all these lines all along. That's an administrative function you could do in the budget. We're just saying, create that new
I
line.
understand. Okay,
Okay, I
So
just want to
it-
make sure the motion is accurately reflected. That's all.
I think we understand it. Does everyone understand the motion? Yes.
Yeah, Brian, just a quick question. I heard two different things, so I just want to get clarification. On the 37,000 for the bridge, do you want it moved to the newly created capital expense budget, or do you want it removed? I heard two different things.
It's removed.
Removed, okay. Yes, I got you.
Okay, so the motion is remove the bridge project altogether, remove $55,000 for the police car from this budget and put it in a to be created budget. And to change the Rumpke line, the solid waste line by increasing it by $212,000. Is there further discussion?
And any shortfall that is created comes out of surplus. We have to say that.
Unallocated
Yeah, sure.
reserves.
Right. Well, it's not reserves, it's on that, it's
Unallocated.
accumulated surplus.
That's fine.
Okay, we'll ready to vote? Sarah?
No.
Okay, Don?
Yes.
Mayor?
No.
David?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
So the vote's 3-2. The motion is adopted, I think. Did I count right? Okay. All right. Are there further motions? In that case, are we ready to vote on the budget as amended? Any further discussion? All right, we'll proceed with the vote. Frank?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Mayor?
No.
Yes.
No.
No. Okay, so the vote's 3-2. Did I count correctly? And it's approved. The budget as amended is approved. Is that right?
Right.
Okay, okay, so we've approved the budget and we'll move forward accordingly. Okay, what's next on our agenda?
Municipal road.
Municipal road fund.
Okay,
The bottom. Page 1.
right. The road aid, is this the road aid budgets? Okay, so this is,
Yeah, then.
oh, the municipal, yes. So this is a second reading and approval of the ordinance establishing the municipal road aid fund for the city of Prospect for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023 and ending July 1 of 2024. Is there a motion to give a second reading and approval to that ordinance?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson's made that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Holmes has seconded. Is there discussion? If not, are we ready to vote? Mr. Fulcher?
Yes.
Okay, David?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, but that's approved. So the next item is the first reading of ordinance 627, series 2023, and ordinance enacting and adopting the 2022 supplement to the Code of Ordinances of the City of Prospect.
The mayor asked me to speak to it. Just, I know there's some new members who may not be aware that this is a standard sort of ordinance that's passed at the end of each fiscal year. We pay a company, for the name of it, American Legal Publishing. Every time we pass an ordinance, those ordinances are passed on to this company to complete with also state changes in law, and that's where our books come from, our legal books, and the website maintenance comes from. And so they send us an amendment to this year's ordinances that I review and make sure it corresponds with all the activity and the ordinances passed by your council. And they all looked in order, and so this ordinance adopts them as part of our record.
Is there a motion to, this is a first reading?
Yeah.
Is there a motion to give a first reading to this ordinance?
So moved.
Mr. Holmes has moved. Is there a second? Second, Mr. Fulcher. Is there discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, it's passed unanimously. David, would you give that first reading? Just read the title.
City of Prospect ordinance number 627, series 2023, an ordinance enacting and adopting the 2022 supplement to the Code of Ordinance for the City of Prospect.
Thank you. So the last item on the agenda is the second reading and consideration of adopting ordinance 623, series 2023, an ordinance relating to the amendment and modification of chapter 150, building regulations of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Prospect. Is there a motion to give that ordinance a second reading and to approve it?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Gibson's moved, Mr. Fulcher seconded. Is there discussion?
I'd like to introduce an amendment that revises the ordinance as it exists, removing two words, red and colonial. And talked to Chris or communicated with Chris, and they apparently don't constitute a significant change. So
Right, this will confirm, I've reviewed it. I do not think it's a substantial change.
Okay, so the word colonial would be removed on page 1 of 2. Under B, subpart 1C.
Yes. It would read conformance to the city's existing brick stone architectural style. As opposed.
Where is 1B?
so,
That may just be a Scrivener's error.
oh,
We went from 1A to 1C. Okay, but we can deal with that. All right, is there discussion? All right, in that case, we're ready for a vote. Mr. Fulcher,
yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
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 No.
Okay, so the vote is 4-1 in favor. The ordinance is adopted. Okay, that ends the agenda. Is there a,
Just say 4-1, it's 5-0.
no, Sarah?
Actually- Yeah, it's the unpainted.
I should have known.
You should.
If you vote on it, yeah.
So his amendment, so I don't know if we ever did vote on the amendment. So let's back up. I think we know where we're going to end up. Well, I said it's a vote on the ordinance, I believe. So just so that we're clear, the motion we're dealing with is the motion to amend that would remove the word red and the word colonial. That's been moved and seconded. I'm going to ask for another vote just on the amendment.
Yes.
Mr. Coulter?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
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 Okay, so that is unanimous, 5-0. Now the motion is on the ordinance as amended. Any further discussion? If not, Mr.
Yes.
Fulcher? Mr.
Yes.
Holmes? Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
And
Nope.
Sarah's no, so it's approved 4-1. Okay, that's the end of the agenda. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we are adjourned.
You ever feel that?
Oh,
Yeah, Troy.
yeah, no.
Yeah, I can't take that.